This holiday season feels like every other before. Christmas dinner with the family and presents galore. But what if this Christmas was different? A present that we just can't ignore. After the wrapping has been ripped and the paper torn, there's a gift like no other and a purpose is born. What could this mean? Could it really be true? That a gift so great is available to me and to you. It was sent from above and is found all around. This Christmas we all can have the love that came down.
Well, good morning, everyone. Great to have you with us. Hope you're looking forward to a great Christmas week and that you're getting all ramped up for Christmas, and that a part of your Christmas plans is our Christmas Eve service, because we're going to pull out all the stops for that, and you're going to want to make sure you're inviting family and friends to be a part of that experience with you. I want all of you to find your cell phone, okay? Those of you in the worship center, those of you in this room, go ahead and find your cell phone. Go ahead and get it out, hold it up high. Get it up high. Come on, get it up high. You love this thing, don't you? You cannot live without this thing. Keep it up. Come on. Your life is on this, or access to everything that you think is your life is on this. I mean, you got your Starbucks app, you got your Chick-fil-A app, right? You got Facebook, you got Panda Pop, right? Or Candy Crush, whatever that. You got it on there, and you can't live without it. Now, here's what I want you to do. Both here and in the worship center, I want you to lose it, okay? Put it behind your back, put it underneath your leg. Come on, put it in there. Just got a message. Ignore it. All right. What do you do when you lose your cell phone? Life stops when you lose your cell phone, right? When I lose my cell phone, it's like, where is it? I mean, when I carry it, it's always front pocket, very rarely back pocket, always front pocket, and I know when I don't have it. It's like, where's my cell phone? Wait, everybody's got to be looking for my cell phone. When you lose your cell phone, the world comes to a stop, and they all need to help you find it, right? It's like you lose a kid, they come back eventually, but your cell phone, no, you got to find it, right? Now, I'm kidding about the kid thing, because we lost a kid one time in the mall, and not a good experience. Ended up all right. He came back. See, they always come back, right? But when you lose something valuable, you can't help it. You stop everything until you find it, right? Have you ever been lost driving? Now, a lot of guys won't admit this, and it's rarer today because you have GPSs on the cell phones that you never misplace. And so, but I've been in situations before where I wasn't really quite sure where I was and kind of the direction I was supposed to be going or whatever. And if I feel like I'm kind of lost and I have the radio on, do you know what I do? I turn it down. As if somehow turning it down is going to increase my awareness of where I am. I don't know why I do that. And then I kind of speed up a little bit too. I don't know why I do that, because I guess I think I'm going to get unlost faster. I don't know, but here's actually what happens. I just get lost faster, more quietly. That's what happens when I turn down the radio and drive faster. Sometimes we just kind of lose our way. Have you ever been lost, like in a class, like in college or in high school or something, where you just weren't getting it? For most of us, that's probably a science or a math class. I don't know. But it could be chemistry, it could be physics, could be algebra, could be trigonometry, geometry, differential equations, whatever class it is for you that you just kind of got, eventually you just got lost. You couldn't find your way. I've been in classes before where students just close the notebook, drop the pen, done. There was no way they were going to find their way out, find their way clear, in that class anyway, about where that lecture was heading. It just wasn't computing for them. Sometimes we lose things. Sometimes we tend to lose our way. Sometimes we're lost because we're perplexed or confused or kind of lost our way. We're puzzled or we're uncertain about something. When a young adult seems to not be able to find his or her way, what is it that we kind of say? Well, they're just lost for a while and they just need a little time to figure it out, right? How about you? You ever been lost in life? Not certain about what's next? Not certain what your future might be? Most of us probably wouldn't describe our lives that way. At least most of us who assemble in this building, we probably wouldn't think about it that way because by and large, the majority of us would be someone who has some sort of higher education, at least high school or college. Most of us have a job that we really like and enjoy. We're making a decent income. Kids seem to be doing all right, have some vacations planned, putting away for retirement. By all measures, it would seem like that we're doing, pretty much okay, and we probably wouldn't describe ourselves really as having lost our way, at least according to the measures of our society and our culture. Let me ask you this question. What if you were lost and you didn't know it? What if the measures you were using for your life were all wrong? What if you are lost right now and don't even know it? More than one person has been successful in life and has come up empty in the end. I came across this quote by Justin Timberlake, and he said this. He said that, I think the first half of my 20s, I felt I had to achieve. Now that's achieve, not dance, all right? Achieve. A lot of men do this. I'm looking around now, and I'm like, where am I running? There's a man who's achieved a lot, has a lot of notoriety, very well recognized, not knowing the next step, not really knowing direction. He's living through life. He's getting it done. He's staying popular, but I really don't know where I'm headed. Tom Brady, who is, regardless of what you think about Tom Brady, he is probably one of the premier quarterbacks in the National Football League, and arguments can be made he's been one of the premier quarterbacks of the NFL throughout history. Even early in his career, when he was a young man, he had already won 3 Super Bowl rings. And it was after that that he had this interview with 60 Minutes that I want you to watch.
Tom Brady, the quarterback of the New England Patriots, is not only one of the NFL's best players, he's one of the NFL's best stories. At the tender age of 28, he's already won 3 Super Bowls, an accomplishment that ranks him with some of the best quarterbacks ever to play the game.
I mean, I'm making more money now than I ever thought I could ever make playing football.
But with all that money, fame, and career accomplishments, we were surprised to hear this from him.
Why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings and still think there's something greater out there for me? I mean, maybe a lot of people would say, hey, man, this is what it is. I reached my goal, my dream, my life is... Me, I think, God, it's got to be more than this.
What's the answer?
I wish I knew.
There's a man who has achieved a lot, even since then, achieved a lot, well recognized, made lots of money, has life by the tail. And he said, I don't know what's next. I got here, and I just don't have the fulfillment that I thought it would bring. Jesus would describe that kind of life as lost. Successful, yes. Achieving, yes. Smart guy, yes. Competitive, yes. Hard worker, yes. But Jesus would say, that's an indication of a lost life. There might be some other signs of being lost. Maybe you're experiencing them in your own life. It could be that you're trapped in some bad habits, maybe some unhealthy behaviors or unhealthy patterns of thinking. Maybe you look around at your relationships, your colleagues, your family, your friends, people who are close to you, people you want to have relationship with, and you feel like those relationships are kind of imploding on you. Maybe you've got secrets that no one else knows about, and you're confident that even the person closest to you doesn't even know. But if it were ever to be discovered, it would jeopardize everything. Now, some of you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're lost. You're thinking, hey, I'm here because I'm not figuring it out. I'm looking for another way. I'm trying to figure out what is next for me. That lack of direction, that lack of fulfillment that they talk, yep, that's it. That's me, and I'm trying to figure that out. Some of you are followers of Jesus Christ, or at least claim to be, and you've lost your way. You're no longer pursuing a life that you know that Jesus would have for you. You've gotten distracted by all kinds of other things, other kinds of pursuits. You've allowed unhealthy patterns of thinking and behavior to enter into your life. You're derailed, and you are on the lost path. You just can't figure it out, and you're thinking, I'm never going to be able to find my way back. And you might be closing the notebook, dropping the pen, saying, I don't know what else to do. Well, here's the good news. Jesus said, I came for that. That you're talking about, that you're feeling right now, that sense of lostness, that sense of not being able to know what's next for you, that lack of purpose, lack of direction, that's why I came. That's why I came down. Matter of fact, Jesus said, this is his life statement. This is his life mission. He said, for the Son of Man came. This is the whole purpose for me coming. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. How you're feeling, I came for that, Jesus said. And I am actively seeking after you. If we could state it another way, you might want to write it down. Lost lives are Jesus' priority, and rescuing them is his specialty. Or as a friend of mine who was an Indian graduate student with me in school, he said, speciality. Lost lives are Jesus' priority, and rescuing them is his specialty. Now, Jesus' statement that he came to seek and save the lost came at the end of an encounter that he had with a man named Zacchaeus. And so if you have a printed Bible, you might want to turn to Luke chapter 19. If you have your Bible app, you might want to turn it on and go press Luke and then chapter 19. If you're new to your printed Bible with you, Luke is the third book in your New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke. Okay, Luke chapter 19. And here's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a look at this story. We're going to make a couple observations about it. Then we're going to talk, hey, what would be my most reasonable response to what I've learned from this story? And then a couple of next steps for you, okay? So that's what the rest of our morning looks like. So here's a story that Dr. Luke recorded about this encounter between Jesus and Zacchaeus. It says, Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. Now, there's something you need to understand if you're going to appreciate this story most, and that is that Zacchaeus was a chief tax collector. Now, tax collectors, IRS agents, that ilk, they're usually not very popular people among us, right? I mean, when was the last time you were looking forward to inviting an IRS agent you didn't know over to your house? Say, hey, why don't you come over for dinner? And while you're here, why don't you just check out my books? Just kind of take a look at my personal accounts and so forth. No, you would never do that, right? Well, if you wouldn't do it today, there's no way you would do it during Jesus and Zacchaeus' time, because I'm telling you that the tax system in Rome was brutal. It was 100% corrupt. In fact, in order to be a tax collector, you had to be a corrupt person already because you had to bribe your way into that position. And then once you got there, Rome did not care how you collected the taxes or how much money you collected. As long as they got their cut, you could even pocket the difference if you extorted more from them than what was required. And so basically, these tax collectors made their living off the backs of the people that they were extorting. Hated people. No one liked tax collectors. Zacchaeus had a third strike against him, though. And that was, the second strike was that he was a chief tax. He was at the top of the whole scam. Not only was he a tax collector, he was top of the whole thing. And then his third strike was that he was a Jew and a tax collector. What did that mean? Well, what that meant was that he was extorting his own people for the occupying nation. He was a traitor in their eyes. And so it's like Zacchaeus was the lowest of the low in the eyes of people. This is the man that Jesus is going to schedule an encounter with. Luke goes on to say, he, being Zacchaeus, wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and he climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. And that's the first observation that we want to make from this story, and it's this. Jesus is pursuing you because he wants to. Jesus is pursuing you because he wants to. Think about the scene. Jesus is walking down a road into Jericho. Jericho, very popular city, very populous city. There are hundreds, probably thousands of people who had already heard about Jesus lining the streets, begging and calling for his attention. And out of that entire crowd, he looks up in a tree, of all places, sees Zacchaeus and calls him by name and calls him out of the tree. Just like Jesus was pursuing Zacchaeus, so Jesus is pursuing you. He's pursuing you because he wants to. Now, Zacchaeus had no reason at all to believe that Jesus would have any interest in him, just like he would not have any reason to believe that anybody in Jericho would have any interest in him. This story reveals for us three reasons, at least three reasons, as to why Zacchaeus had reason to believe that Jesus would not give him a second thought. All right? And here's the first observation. Here's the first reason, and that is humiliation. Now, the person who's writing this account, his name is Luke, and it turns out that Luke, in writing this gospel, Luke is a doctor. He's a physician. And so Dr. Luke is describing who Zacchaeus is. And you remember in the story, he described Zacchaeus as being short. Now, when we think about somebody being short, we're thinking, well, maybe they're shorter than normal. They're below average in their stature. No, that's not what Dr. Luke is saying here. Actually, the way he's describing Zacchaeus here is not that he's just below normal. No, he is abnormally short. As a matter of fact, he is underdeveloped. Can you imagine being Zacchaeus growing up? You know that kids can be brutal on the playground, don't you? And in his adult life, not only in his child's life, I can imagine that Zacchaeus was humiliated. He was the butt of probably every joke. And I can almost sense that the anger and the resentment is welling up in Zacchaeus, and is probably one of the reasons he took on this occupation, because he is going to pay people back. We had a kid in high school named Hurley Perkins. No one liked Hurley Perkins. I don't know why, but no one liked Hurley Perkins. As a matter of fact, Hurley was beaten up with regularity by the popular kids. No one would associate with Hurley. And as far as I know, Hurley Perkins was not successful in just about any aspect of high school life, whether it be academics or socially or with sports. He never even went out for sports. But I can tell you that Hurley Perkins was humiliated throughout his high school career. You know, there might be some humiliation in your past too. And somehow it's caused you to give up on the fact that God loves you, or that he's even interested in you. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a lesson from Zacchaeus' life and his encounter with Jesus. And I want you to come to the realization today that Jesus does have an interest in you. As a matter of fact, he's pursuing you simply because he wants to. There's a second reason that Zacchaeus would believe that Jesus would have no reason to have any interest in him at all, beyond humiliation: rejection. Rejection. He's a chief tax collector. Everybody hates the man. He has been rejected. He is a Jew who is a tax collector. He was probably kicked out of the synagogue for sure, excommunicated, shunned by his family. He is an outsider. He's the lowest of the low. He's at the bottom of the social order. No one likes Zacchaeus. As a matter of fact, he's the kind of guy, most probably, if he was walking down the street, people would walk a wide berth around him, not even want to make eye contact with him. No one liked Zacchaeus. He was probably the most hated man in Jericho. You know, most of us just want people to like us. I want people to like me. I'm sure you want people to like you as well. We tend to be approval addicts, so much so that we've developed, many of us, this fear of rejection. And some of you have experienced rejection in your life by someone that you really love, someone that you really admire, someone you looked up for, somebody you trusted, and you have experienced rejection. And you've been spending your entire life trying to win that person's approval. And you might be someone who's thinking that you've been rejected by God. Know this: Jesus will never reject you. As a matter of fact, he's doing exactly the opposite. He is pursuing you because he wants to. He's calling you by name. He has accepted you. He loves you. He's pursuing you because he wants to. There's a third reason that Zacchaeus would think that Jesus would have nothing to do with him. It seems like it's revealed in this story. And that is failure. Zacchaeus was a failure. Yeah, he was rich. Yeah, he had a lot of money. But he wasn't popular. I mean, he was popular in the wrong way, but no one was really interested in him. He was a failure. He could not have felt good about how he was going about his life. He had to feel miserable about that. You know, you might